Hey, what's up guys? This is Timo here. Welcome back to the episode of playing Gemstone Legends. Now, some of you might have noticed that I actually haven't uploaded the video in a while, and that's because I took a little bit of a personal break. My personal life and at work, it just got really crazy and really stressful at one point, and I thought I needed a little bit of balance, and so I decided to take some time off so that I could regroup and refocus. So I've taken a little bit of break and I'm ready to get back in. I'm easing back into making videos again. And I thought that this is the perfect time to do so because there is an update, 0.49. And so I wanted to talk about some of the updates here. I'm not going to go through all of them in this particular video, but I will do so in installments. For this particular video, I do want to sort of talk about the cave and the cavern. So you can see that they've updated, the home page here so that you can actually see scroll left and right. So you're gonna have to sort of search around for items since they sort of moved around a little bit. But if you take a look on the bottom here, there is now a new icon called the Tavern. You can also see a dragon cave over here on the left. If you start by taking a look at the Tavern, you can see there's two tabs. There's Tavern and Dragon Cave. So I'm going to talk about these two new features in this particular video. We'll get started with the Tavern. So the Tavern is a way for you to collect, rewards passively. That means you select some heroes, you send them out to missions, and then after a certain amount of time, you can claim the rewards. And then the more you do, the more you level up. And so you can see here that I am actually currently at adventure level 3 out of 10. You can take a look here and see, what the progression is going to be like. So you can see that level 10 is the maximum level you can get to, and then you can go up to 8 adventures. You can get basically 8 different rewards, and then the difficulty goes from 1 star to 1-5. That just means the higher star difficulty you have, the better rewards you'll get. Okay, so at level 10, that's where you have the maximum, the best chance for getting maximum rewards. And the rewards are things like gems and dust and coins. You can also get these things like ham and bananas. So what are ham and bananas? Well, let's talk about that in a minute. Okay, so this is just a nice passive way to get some additional items. So you can see you get some gems here, 4 gems. This is at level 1 at a 1 star. So potentially at 5 stars, you'll get better amount of gems. And if you have a Tavern pass, then you can get bonus items as well. Now, currently, as of this recording, you can't actually purchase a Tavern pass just yet, but I'm assuming it'll be available soon. So I am at level 3, so I've unlocked a total of 3 adventures right now, and then you can unlock a 4th one when you get to level 4, and then you do need adventures pass for the additional ones. Okay, and you can always speed them up. It does use gems, and every time you use a gem to speed up, it will increase the amount of gems it requires for you to speed up. And so, it's a total of 4 hours for these items right now. I think the time is going to go up to once you get to higher difficulty, and so you will have the option to use gems to speed up. But if you want to save it, just check back every 4 to 5 hours and claim your item, and then continue on. Okay, so that's the venture level, just a nice little way to get passive items without doing anything. Now, Dragon Cave. This is one thing that I think is really, really interesting because now you can upgrade the dragons that you bring in as an ally. The 5 dragons here, you can see their additional icons now. And I'm going to go through each of them and kind of talk about sort of what you need to know. All right, so these dragons, when we used to have them, they started at 6 stars, okay, and they had the same abilities where it deals damage based on attacks, and then for the red dragon, it inflicts decreased resistance and inflicts burn. So this much is the same, but then you can see that as you level up the dragon, you can unlock additional abilities, where at level 20, you actually will increase the turns of the decreased resistance up to 3. And then at level 60, you increase the burn on all enemies for 3 turns. So increase the number of turns here. And then so that's pretty much similar in that regard. But then you now also have passive abilities for the dragons. Now for Vermin, I actually really like this one. So he will increase attack of your allies by 8% at level 40 and by 15% at level 100. That's the maximum level. And then the other one also gives you ability to attack with additional 30% ignoring defense. So this is actually a perfect dragon for you if you have, if your playstyle is focused on attack. So that's actually what I'm focusing on. You can see I'm at level 17 right now. I'm going to continue to try and level him up. And it does require you to use It does require you to use bananas and hams, and I think that once you reach level 20, if you wanted to get to the next level, I think you're going to need the dragon essence. So the dragon essence, I'm assuming it's like to go from the level 20 to level 40. You kind of have to do that to go to the next tier. I think that's what the dragon essence is going to be used for, and you can actually farm these from the adventures. Okay, so you use meat and then fruits, and then that is how you can upgrade your dragons. So Vermin, for me, this is my personal focus because I like attacking, and so I think that he's going to be really useful. Nagash actually got a change as well, so now all dragons will deal attack. So if you take a look at the ability, all dragons now deal true damage based on the attack, except for Nagash, he deals based on 50%, whereas the other dragons deal based on 100%. So how you can take a look here is, if you take a look at the stats, you can see the amount of attack here. Now Nagash, what he'll do is he has 200 attack, and I think what he does is he'll deal 50% of the true damage. So he'll actually deal 100% here, 100 damage. There is crit rate and crit damage also. Now, this is the same number for all dragons. All dragons can go up to level 100. So I'm actually going to go back to Vermin to show you. If you click on stats, you can see I'm a level 17. So that means every time I use my dragon to attack, I will deal 280 attack damage on my opponent. And that's true damage. It used to be 200 regardless for all dragons that they'll attack. Now this number will go up. There's a 16% crit rate. That means there's a 16% chance that I'll double my damage, where I'll do a critical hit. And if I were to do a critical hit right now at level 17, I will do 58% additional damage on top of the 280. If you go up to level 100, this is a maximum. You have 50% chance that you're going to get a critical hit at a 1500 damage, and then this is going to double. Okay, so that means you're going to have a 50% chance to deal 3,000 damage instead of 1,500. So that is for Vermin. And then for Nagash, this actually has a lot of people really kind of concerned because there's a change in the ability. So Nagash now will deal damage. That means if you used to have a sleeping hero like Inula, it will actually now wake up Inula. So that's something a lot of people have voiced concerns over. So we're not sure if they're going to change this or not. But right now, no matter what dragon you use, if you have heroes like Inula, you put your enemies to sleep. As soon as you use your dragon, you're going to wake them up. So you're going to have to use the dragon first before you use Inula. It doesn't change anything for defending, though, in your wars or arena, and so that's something to keep in mind. We're not sure if they're going to change this behavior, but for now, this is what to expect. Now for Nagash, it is all about heal again. So you're going to increase the amount of heal. So actually, at level 20, what it does is it will increase the amount of recovery. And then at level 60, it's going to restore health, and it's going to increase it based on 200% of your attack rather than 150. And so again, if you take a look at the stats here, at level 100, that's going to be 1500, and so that's 200%. Right, so it's going to heal for 3,000 health each time you use it. And so the higher the level, the more benefit you'll get. His passive ability gives you an increased heal, and then the second passive ability gives you additional healing effects. So if your playstyle is bringing a lot of support heroes that does healing, then Nagash is going to be very helpful. Let's talk about Skyron now. So Skyron is the one that's going to decrease the speed and potentially freeze. Okay, and deals true damage based on 100% of the attack. So this is going to be the same for all other dragons at this point. So at level 20, increases the decreased speed to 3 turns, and then at Icy Breath, level 60, you now increase the freeze potential up to 30%. So now there's a higher chance that you're going to freeze your enemies, which a lot of players actually use this dragon for that purpose. His passive ability will increase the critical damage. And so if you have heroes that don't necessarily deal damage based on attack, this is going to increase the output of the damage overall. At a level 100, it's going to up to 20%. So that's a pretty good boost. And then also gives you a chance to inflict decreased attack. So make sure enemies deal less damage with there's a 33% chance to do so. All right, so Skyron is a good choice for you if you like to play sort of a debuff style where you do deal some damage and you reduce the amount of damage that your opponents can deal. And mostly it's really for the slowdown and for the freeze. And then Bastet. Bastet is the hero that is going to decrease accuracy, color blindness. Basically, just makes it difficult for your opponents to land damage on you. Okay, and then again, the first, sort of the level 20 and level 60 upgrades are all about like increasing the number of turns that your debuffs land, and then the passive ability here. At level 40, you're going to increase your speed of all allies by 4, and then increase the speed of all allies by 8. At level 100. So that's a nice way to boost speed of your heroes for all of them so that you can potentially go faster than your opponent. Second passive ability, I'll read this one out. When an ally with at least 4 negative statuses is affected by any special ability, these statuses are removed and immunity is inflicted in their place for 2 turns. This effect can happen once per each ally. So if you're up against heroes, enemies like Zarkon or any other heroes that like to do a lot of negative status, or like Shojin, for example, as soon as you reach 4, it's going to then remove all of that, and then you get immunity instead, so then you stop getting hit with those negative stats. So it's a really good way for you to protect yourself when you go up against enemies that like to debuff a lot. Okay, so if you have a hard time dealing with those opponents, this is the dragon to choose. Next, we have Haron, who is the purple dragon here. Same thing, does true damage based on 100%, and then has mana choke and heal block. This is the dragon that's used against opponents that have a lot of healers on their team. And again, same thing, you're just going to increase the number of turns of your debuff at levels 20 and 60. The passive abilities, though, is what's interesting. So you're going to take a look at the first passive ability. So that's going to increase your accuracy of your heroes, okay, by up to 30% at level 100. Even the 15% at level 40 is a good boost, because anytime you have more accuracy, you can land your debuffs easier, and you can potentially increase the damage of those that use accuracy as a damage sort of a basis. Okay, and then suffocating fumes. When an enemy with at least 4 positive status is affected by any special ability, these statuses are removed, and status block is inflicted in their place for 2 turns. This effect can happen once per each enemy. So again, in PvP, for example, if you're up against Street Block, which everybody runs, okay, this is guaranteed to kick in, because all of your enemies are going to, have at least 4 positive stats. So what happens is all of your enemies are going to have all of their statuses removed, and then instead status block is going to be applied, so they can't have positive stats anymore. This is really, really key, because if you are up against opponents that begin their turn with more than 4 or more positive stats, and then they add, like a lot of times they would have like, immunity and increased defense and increased speed. And then let's say Street Block immediately activates their skill. Well, now what happens is they're going to not have any of those positive stats, and instead they'll have status block. That's going to be really, really helpful for you to take down your opponents. So I would imagine that Haron is going to be the primary dragon for most attackers in PvP, because it's going to make it easier for you to take down your opponent. Okay, and so if you like to play PvP, if you like to deal with those, if you have a hard time dealing with all those positive stats that your opponents use, well, this is a perfect counter to Street Block. And so personally, I would say you definitely want to go after either Haron or Vermin, the Ruby Dragon, depending on the playstyle you have. I think the other 3 are going to be fine. A lot of people are saying that Nagash isn't really going to be worth updating now, because it's taking away from how they normally play this anyway. Nagash was always the dragon that didn't do anything except heal your team, but now that they've introduced attack, that's going to be a problem for a lot of people. Skyron is going to be very useful for you if you are playing in wars. You put them in your defense, and that's going to be a counter towards people who use like Akuma, for example, so you can prevent Akuma from single-handedly taking out your team. Bastet is one that I don't see used as often, but again, as I said, now that with the ability for you to remove all of your negative stats and add immunity instead, this could be a really good option for you to help survive those onslaught of negative stats. Keep in mind though, this only applies one time per ally, per fight, but I think that initial sort of immunity is going to help you enough to get through the fight already anyway. And so Bastet is going to be more of an offense type, I believe an offense type dragon for you to use, and then probably what you'll use as an attacking team, whereas Skyron is good for a defender, Haron is good as a defender, and Vermin is also pretty good as a defender as well as an attacker dragon. And so that is how I feel about like, you know, the dragons and who you should focus on first. I would say Haron or Vermin, depending on what you want, and then Skyron, and I guess Bastet, then Nagash. That's probably how we would prioritize it. Haron's probably going to be the number one choice for many people. Personally, I like Vermin, as I said, but I don't think you can do wrong with any choice. And so I personally like this update quite a bit. I am excited to see how it's going to be like. It's going to change the gameplay, I think, quite a bit in PvP specifically. And I think the Vermin is going to help me against my raid boss fights, which I really enjoy personally. So that's going to be it from me for today. Thanks a lot, everybody, for all of your support so far. Hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know what else you'd like to see. And, you know, if you have any questions on the update, feel free to message me and ask me. Comment down below. Let me know what your thoughts are. And I look forward to seeing you in the next episode. All right, guys, take care. I'll see you next time.